And then I asked a Buddhist monk friend of mine, I said, does the universe have an intention? And he said, oh no, the universe has no intention at all. The universe can kill 10,000 people with one giant storm and not shed a tear. But the universe can make crops grow and the sun come up and water appear and not take credit for that either. So I don't know if it's indifference, but I think there's an equanimity in the way a Buddhist would approach the good and bad in life. But they would always say, you know, I've got a stake in this. I'm connected to it in a very personal and intimate way. And if my life isn't going the way I want it to, I can do something about it. I can start right now, today, in changing my life if I understand the law of karma. So this is how I approached it. I said, okay, let's look at the world as being just a bunch of energy. And all this energy is out there, and the energy doesn't have a good value or bad value. It just is a bunch of energy. And now we have this human being who becomes this energy transformer. It's our job to transform this energy into either good or bad energy. Now, I want to preface it by saying good energy is something that leads to less suffering. Bad energy is something that leads to more suffering. We don't really have a good and an evil in Buddhism. An ultimate good you could call God. That's just taking one of the O's out of good. An ultimate evil could be the devil. That's like putting a D in front of evil. And we don't have that. We have skillful and unskillful. We do not have a divine lawgiver that defines for us what we should do or how we could do it. Rather, we have the law of karma that decides for us if we're skillful or unskillful by how much suffering we're experiencing and how much suffering those around us are experiencing. And when I came to understand that concept, I felt so comfortable because now I realized there wasn't anybody out there to get me. You know? And I had that feeling sometimes like, you know, why are they always watching me? I know someone's up there and his eyes never blink. And anything I do that might be unskillful, he or she knows. And now we come to karma, and karma doesn't care. It doesn't care if I'm skillful or unskillful. It just doles out the consequences. Suffering more, suffering less. So if we look at ourselves as being a transformer, it starts, first of all, with what we think. Our thought, according to Buddhism, leads our speech and action into the world. If we have wholesome thoughts, if we have skillful thoughts, if we have happy thoughts, if we have compassionate thoughts, if we have good thoughts, if we have selfless thoughts, those will manifest into our speech and action. Now, say there's somebody in your life that has been giving you a hard time, and you think to yourself, gosh, I wish they were no longer alive, because then my life would be so much better. Well, we probably all had those thoughts on occasion, but for most of us, they don't manifest into speech and action. Is there a consequence for having an unskillful thought? Yes, there is, but it's the smallest of consequences. For instance, if you have an unskillful thought, it might just mean you can't go to sleep that night, and you're tossing and turning, and that would be the consequence of having an unskillful thought. But let me assure you, once that unskillful thought manifests into speech and action, the consequences are far greater. Now, I have said things innocently, off the cuff, without any prior thought, and it has come back to bite me time. And I'm just looking at the cause and consequence of one moment of unskillful speech will follow me the rest of my life. And, whoa, and you know, once it comes out, you can't take it back. So, as a meditator, what we try to do is watch how we process. We want to see how our mind works. And we want to get to the place where we can choose what intentions we want to manifest in the world and what intentions we don't want to manifest in the world. It requires great effort and awareness of the thought process. Now, speech has more consequences than thought, but action have the most consequences of all. So once those intentions turn into actions, there will be a consequence, either a good one or a bad one, a skillful one or an unskillful one. Now, the thought might come into your mind, hey, Kusala, I'm walking down the street and I step on an ant, and does that mean I'm going to have a bad day because I took a life? Not if you didn't intend to step on the ant. There needs to be an intention. If you blindly step on the ant, if you unknowingly step on the ant, then you will have not have any consequence. But if you intend to do it, and you plot it out, and you succeed, and you take joy in your success, there will be a consequence. Now, we have a lot of work going on in our backyard now at the center. We have these master gardeners coming in, and they're planting and trimming and doing all these wonderful things. And I must say, it looks really nice in our backyard. But you know what I found out? Gardeners don't like snails. They curse them. And one of the master gardeners picked up a snail and literally crushed it. And I cringed. I'm thinking, what is wrong with you? All they want to do is eat, you know? And so if they eat a flower or two or a leaf or two, who cares? It's life. They figured out how to get born. And you're taking that away? So I'm sensitive to the issues of unknowingly killing things because you think it's sort of for the good of the greater community or earth. But you know, every time we take a life, whether we intend to do it in a good way or a bad way, there will be a consequence. There will be a consequence. Abortion. How about abortion? This is a hot topic. What would a Buddhist do? Well, a Buddhist would say, in some cases, I don't want to say all cases, that I have a choice to make. That the choice is mine, and I need to accept the consequences of my choice. Whether I'm doing it for the right reason or not, no matter what anybody else says, there'll be a consequence. So we have all this peer pressure to be a certain way, and people are telling us no, 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 or yes, yes, yes. But as a Buddhist, it really comes down to us, because we're the ones that are going to have to suffer the consequences of our intention, speech, and action. That is our karma. So it's difficult to take responsibility for everything you think, say, and do. You can't petition karma. Karma is blind. I don't care if you get down on your knees one night, put your hands together, look towards the sky and say, karma, please forgive me. Karma can't hear you. It has no ears. It has no eyes. You're stuck. So is this like determinism? Does this mean once I've done something really unskillful, I'm stuck? I can't change the consequences? Absolutely not. You have a choice in everything that happens to you. So say, for instance, you said something unskillful, and you just realize that, gosh, I need to make amends. I need to change those consequences before they appear in my life. Generally speaking, there's a little lag time between cause and consequence, which gives us an opportunity to change or limit the consequences. Think of it this way. We have a glass of water and a teaspoon of salt. You put the salt in the glass of water, all you taste is the salt. But now you have a forest pond and a teaspoon of salt, and you put the salt in the forest pond, and there's so much water, you can't taste the salt.